Brandon, you mentioned AI, and like that is kind of like a huge topic for every business, every sector.
Yeah.
Would definitely love to hear your thoughts, not only from a business owner's perspective on how people can do a better job leveraging AI, but what it means for your industry as a
Yeah,
whole.
yeah. AI is such a big, it's a can of worms, so to speak. And I,
Yeah.
to be candid, a couple years ago was against it, right? I'm big on data privacy. I'm big on, protecting people's intellectual property and not being too invasive. And the reality is, I think the value that it's demonstrated for myself and for all my clients far outweighs the potential liabilities. Because at the end of the day, if you hire an employee, there's a significant amount of risk. You use technology, significant amount of risk. So you have to weigh risk with reward. And as somebody who is in the technology sector, I use AI hours and hours every single day. And what that actually looks like, everybody talks about AI this, AI that. How I use it right now, I have AI look at my inbox, draft email responses, and order criticality, kind of triage my emails and what's important, and actually draft an auto response. That's something I use every single day. I use a tool called Superhuman for that. It's pretty intense to get started, but once you do, that saved me, I don't know, 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week. I don't know about you guys, but and anybody in your audience, if I saved you 5 or 10 hours a week on any one thing in your job, I mean, that would be game changing, right? And then I use ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, any of the number of the chat tools out there. They're all pretty similar, but to help me if I want to further refine that email, right? I want to draft communications. I'm drafting meeting notes, right? And the powerful tool I kind of use in conjunction is something called Fathom. It's fathom.video, Fathom AI. It's a note-taking recorder. There's a couple other called Otter that's pretty good, but it literally joins me in every single one of my Teams calls, my Zoom calls, and my Google Meets when I'm interacting with a client for the first time on a prospect. And when I'm interacting with an existing client, it's scheduling and doing planning, quarterly business reviews, all the various things that we do for meetings. But a note taker is valuable, but what that actually allows me to do, remember, we're given 2 ears and one mouth. I don't generally take notes, maybe a couple words here and there when I'm in an hour-long meeting. I let my note taker take notes. And I'll use key phrases like, oh, wow, that sounds really important. Or that's a really great point. And through Fathom and through various note takers, it knows, okay, that's a highlighted key moment. I'm going to put that in the summary, and then I'll review that and I'll watch it back and find the key points. And then I'll use that full transcript and paste it into any one of my tools like ChatGPT and say, hey, generate a follow-up email and then send, right? I was spending hours and hours and hours doing that for clients before, and I was taking notes furiously because I'm a detail guy. That's how I use AI every single day. And not even talking about the marketing and kind of sales aspect, but AI is powerful, Dominic. Justin.
Yeah, no, that's super helpful, and I think so practical for so many business owners. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about some of the dangerous stuff associated with AI. Like, I don't know about you, but I've noticed a lot of incoming spam and fishy emails that they're not what they used to be 5 years ago, where there's a prince in Nigeria who discovered this massive, discovery, and they're asking you for money, right? Like it's very much
Yeah.
changed. So take us through your thoughts on that a little bit, if you could.
Well, I don't have to take you through my thoughts. I can take you through my reality, right?
Yeah.
So just last month, I mean, a couple weeks ago, I had a client call me and said, "Hey, Brandon, I need your help." I'm like, oh, okay, well, what's going on? Like, I think we got scammed. It's like, okay, tell me more, right? And so I helped them and consulted with them for about a week and tried to understand and kind of reverse engineer this social engineering scam and what happened. But essentially, this gal, very successful, very seasoned business owner, got a call. Hey, it's, let's say, Wells Fargo Bank, right? And we're here with the Wells Fargo and the FBI and the investigation team. We have deposited some money into your bank account, and we would like you to please withdraw that, and we're going to track it. We'll withdraw it in cash and hand it to a courier. We're going to track it to find where these fraudsters are, embezzling money or whatever. Sounded very convincing. Like, oh, I think this is a scam. Like, no, check your account right now. They checked their account, and something like $30,000 in cash was deposited to their account. They're like, oh, okay, well, there's now validity and it's legit, right? Okay, no problem. And they do that. And of course, they take cash from their account, which they didn't have before. They maybe only had a couple $1,000 in there, $30,000. Okay, sure, I'll withdraw that in cash, hand it to an Uber driver, basically, and a courier, and none the wiser. And then, of course, then they called me a day later and like, something was just off. It's like, I'm going red flags, alarm bells blaring. And as we kind of reverse engineered it and worked with, in this case, we didn't talk to the FBI because it was so low, but typically we do for my larger investigations. But we talked with the fraud department of the bank, and it was determined that my client, who's now my client, had their bank account compromised, their credentials, their username and password. They successfully social engineered the two-factor code, the 6 digits that you get a text message from them earlier in the day, week, month, we're not sure, and we're in their bank account, found their credit card, and then transferred money from their credit card as a cash advance into their checking account. So all of a sudden, automatically, they had money, and then they convinced them through social engineering to withdraw it, and that money is gone. They were unable to recover those funds. They are out that money, right? So that doesn't really play into AI, but that's something that I deal with and see every single day. And when it comes to AI, I mean, the barriers and the cost to perform a very, very sophisticated personalized cyber attack is essentially zero. It's free, right? So you get these robocalls. Hey, it's so-and-so at so-and-so bank, yada, yada. It used to be a human doing those calls, but now you can use a bot to do it. All these phishing emails, all these text messages. Hey, USPS package. Hey, sheriff's office. We have a warrant for your arrest. I mean, I see these scams every single day from clients, right? It's becoming hyper personalized. Justin might get a text message. Hey, it's your local wine club. Hey, pick up your package, click this link. It's like, well, how did they know that? Just as part of that. It's like, well, they got his credentials somewhere else. It was in some sort of breach, right? They're integrating all these data points and developing these hyper sophisticated, realistic, targeted, we call it spear phishing attacks. And so what that means to the listeners and viewers is be vigilant, be careful, trust nothing, unfortunately, and lean on somebody who is a expert or at least has more experience than you when it comes to, is this too good to be true? Is this a scam? Probably is.
Have you found within that idea of the tax that they're using AI for to be able to do more cyber type attacks, the ones that
Oh,
used to
yeah.
be people going in and how
Yeah.
how is that? How have they been able to use that not just for phishing and for um, fooling people, but for getting into systems and attacking things that way?
That's a great question. And before I get into the mechanics, let me define what I tell all my clients, right? My goal, if you hire me as a cybersecurity engineer and a professional managed service provider to protect your business and make sure you're compliant with cyber insurance, that's generally who hires us. And they pay us hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, and we take the onus and liability to support your technology and build up your moat, your castle walls, your defenses, right? I don't tell anybody that I can protect them 100%. At the end of the day, the only way you can keep your business safe is by firing all your staff, firing yourself, turning off your internet, your email, your phones. And that's the only way, essentially, you can protect yourself in a digital world, right? And so if you're like, well, I don't want to close down my business and I want to keep my staff and technology, great. We got to protect that to the best of our ability. My job is to build up your castle walls, your moat, your layers of defenses, so much so that it becomes kind of a waste of time for an enemy, an adversary, a cyber criminal, whatever you want to call it, to attack you, right? So let's say I'm supporting a CPA firm, and there's probably 100 CPA firms in the greater Rockland, Roseville, Sacramento area, right? And I protected their email accounts. I protected all their computers. I trained all of them so when they don't answer suspicious phone calls, they don't provide their password. I made their defenses pretty strong. The criminals using AI tools, robocallers trying to get their information, looking at data breaches, trying to log into their email and compromise their systems, all these various tools. It's endless what they can do. They're going to be like, that was too hard to attack these guys. I'm going to go on to the next guy. And maybe their secretary wasn't trained. Hey, it's, Joe over at Bank of America. We noticed, some suspicious stuff. Can you confirm your account number for me? Oh, sure. No problem. I have a check right here. Boom. They read it off. Could you confirm your bank login? Boom. Yeah, they read it off. Okay. Thanks so much. And then they just now compromise their entire financial system. Or maybe they use the same password, their dog's name, Scruffy123 exclamation point, right? And they weren't trained on how to use a password manager, right? And it's all these other CPA firms, for a very candid example. Now they just compromise their systems and got into one of the partners' computer and see all the tax returns, which have social security numbers on there, right? Which have contact information. Now that one little kind of leak in the dam, so to speak, now they just approached it, set explosives, and blew the whole thing up. Now it's a deluge of problems. And that's how cyber attacks are so prolific, and they spread, is they get a foothold, right? And then they extrapolate. We call it pivoting. They pivot within the organization, and then they start to extrapolate more information, and then they further their attack through a variety of vectors, right? It's terrifying, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely terrifying.
Sorry, I'm not sunshine and roses when it comes to cybersecurity, because I take my job very, very seriously. And at the end of the day, if one of my clients who pays me to protect them, I have failed them through a variety of means, I have to have insurance that covers my liability. And I require all my clients to have insurance. And that can cause devastating effects. And the statistics are sombering when it comes to cyber attacks. More than 50%, and you can look this up on a variety of sources, more than 50% of businesses, when they have a cyber attack, fold within that year. It's just done. Even if they have professional IT, even if they have a tech guy, even if they have the computer guru, even if they have insurance, the impact can be so devastating to their bottom line, to their cash flow, to their reputation, that it's irrecoverable, not to mention completely psychologically devastating. It's the reality. Sorry, not sunshine. You asked.
No,
There's the real answer.
Yeah, no, you absolutely have to live in reality. And I love the fact that you take this so seriously and see the importance of making sure that your clients are protected. And this is unfortunately the modern world we live in. We can't go back to carrier pigeons to send messages, right? So this is what we have to live with. Now,
and just as a friendly resource, I'm going to provide top 10 cyber tips for every small business owner as a resource to you, Dominic. You can put in the show notes and whatnot. They can download it. I'm not going to go through it now, but there's a lot of things like, well, I can't afford, professional IT. It's like, no worries. I totally understand. Hopefully you get to that scale using automation, outsourcing, and hiring to get to that point where you can have that. But there's so many self-guided resources that most, to be candid, are a complete and utter waste of your time. Like everybody assumes, hey, I need a VPN to protect myself. It's like, that doesn't really do much to protect yourself, but there's a lot of tips, and I'll tease with that so you can find it in the show notes.
Yeah, excellent. Very helpful.